Welcome to the tribe. My name's Nicole Gerald and I'm a therapist. I put out videos on mental health, specifically around stress and how to deal with stress, anxiety, and trauma. Today, I'm going to teach you a 5-second hack to trick or hack your nervous system. So, first of all, what does it even mean to hack your nervous system, and why should you care about being able to hack your nervous system? Basically, hacking your nervous system means being able to go from a somewhat distressed state or a stress response, anxiety response state into more of a peaceful state, a relaxed hangout state. And when I say state, I just mean like emotional feeling of feeling good. So, from being able to go from maybe feeling stressed or feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, to being able to feel really good, feel really calm, feel really resourced, feel like you can just relax and have a good time. So, I imagine you're curious. Okay, how do I do that in 5 seconds? And I'm about to teach you. Now, the thing that I'm going to teach you is actually a deep breathing exercise. So bear with me because I know there's a lot of people who teach deep breathing exercises, and I am not going to say that deep breathing is going to fix or solve all your problems in your life. No, absolutely not. Deep breathing, however, can be like the starting point of creating some major change in your life, particularly if you're feeling really stressed or overwhelmed or anxious the majority of the time. So, this deep breathing technique I'm going to teach you is a belly breath. And what I'm going to tell you the science behind what happens to why this technique helps you hack your nervous system. So there's two main parts of the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the way that I remember this is opposite, right? You would think the sympathetic nervous system is really kind and sympathetic. Wrong. Nope, it's the opposite. So I always think opposite. The sympathetic nervous system is the part of our nervous system that automatically becomes engaged when we start to feel stressed. We don't have a choice. This is often triggered at the base of our brain stem. It's an instinctual response to become overwhelmed or anxious or triggered. We can't just decide, oh no, today I'm not going to feel stressed about this, right? But we do have more control over our state, our emotions, our nervous system than we think. We can actually train our nervous system. So the other part of the nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is what a lot of people, including myself, refer to as the rest and digest. And that's because in that stress response, the blood often moves from our internal organs that help with aid in digestion to our arms and legs so we can run or fight, to deal with whatever stress is happening in our life. Like I said, instinctual response. So this is an older response system. This is from years ago in evolution and history. And so back to the parasympathetic nervous system, which are also rest and digest, and that's what is happening when we're chatting with a friend, we're hanging out with a friend, having a tea, having a laugh, or we're feeling good. Our stomach is able to digest really easily, so we're not having like irritable tummy stuff going on. We're laughing, we're relaxed, our body posture feels relaxed. We're just enjoying the moment, right? And so, believe it or not, we have the ability to switch between those two states. And I'm not saying that all the time doing 5 seconds of deep breathing is going to switch you into a parasympathetic nervous system response or that rest and digest response. But I am saying we can start to train the nervous system. I like to think of it as a banking method. If I'm always stressed, my baseline is feeling anxious, upset, having difficulty breathing, heart rate going up, always thinking about things, always thinking about the worst case scenario of things. I'm kind of wound pretty tight, right? I'm maybe up here most of the time. Every time I take time to mindfully, intentionally come back to that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system, it's like I'm putting money in that bank where I'm living in that place longer and longer, and it's taking longer and longer for me to go into more of that stress response because I'm training myself to be more at ease more of the time. So, enough about that. Let's get into actually practicing this deep breathing technique. And the the practice of doing this right is really important, and not like, oh, I'm going to do this wrong type of thing, right? We're not going to go there. But in mindfully being aware of our posture. And so the first thing I always look at with a client or someone I'm working with, and for myself, is the posture. So we have a tendency as humans to kind of hunch when we're in stressful situations and have a lot of tension in our necks and shoulders, right? And so, talking about that evolution instinct, apes, when they're stressed, go like this. And that is actually, that's a funny face, to protect the jugular, one of the most vulnerable places on the human body and I guess on the ape's body. So the first thing I want you to try is noticing rolling your shoulders up, back, and down. Just a few kind of shoulder rolls. And please go ahead and try this with me. Just give it a try. Oh, yeah, I can already feel myself breathing a little bit differently. And so, from this place of this open chest, so from this place of like protection, my rib cage is actually compressed. It's physically more difficult for me to get a full breath, as when I come up like this, my rib cage is expanding and I'm able to get a fuller breath just by that posture. That's why it's important. And the next part is I always ask people to open up their arms. So just try this with me. Open up your arms and just look up for a minute. Opening your chest, opening your neck, your shoulders, just looking up for a minute. Trying this with me. I know it might be weird, it might feel funny. Just go ahead, you can do it. Yeah, what does that feel like? What is that? What do you notice with that? Some people feel vulnerable, some people feel really good, some people notice the stress in their body at this point, or stress or tension in their shoulders and neck. So the first part is noticing posture and noticing this as you're walking around in the world. If you're a person who's always hunched over looking at the ground, practice having a little confidence, having a little swagger, having a little, you know, bad-ish feeling. Practice that shoulder, practice looking up, practice making eye contact. That's just an aside. That doesn't have to do with the deep breathing, right? But here's coming back to the deep breathing. Now that we have our posture, the next thing that's really important to know is our lung capacity actually goes from our collarbone to our hip bone. Now that is a huge capacity for air. We're talking 2 gallons of air. And when we get enough oxygen to our brain, we not only think more clearly, but we also are releasing dopamine, which is a feel-good drug. So we feel naturally less depressed, more happy, whatever you want to call it. So talk about this being good for everything, right? This isn't the cure. This doesn't solve all the problems, but it can help. Anyway, so what I like to do is keeping my shoulders down, because I'm not doing this with every breath. Right? I'm pulling the air and I'm filling up my lungs from the bottom to the top. And so how I measure that I'm doing this correctly is I'll put my hand on my belly, and I want my belly to move out with every breath, not up. I'm putting my hand on the bottom of my belly, right underneath my belly button. So let's try 5 deep breaths right now. Okay, ready? Right. What are you noticing? Do you notice any changes in your body? Do you notice any changes in your emotions, your thoughts? Sometimes people will say that they aren't thinking as much, aren't worrying as much, they're noticing the stress in their body, they're noticing relaxation. Sometimes people will notice, oh, my tummy is grumbling, or it's hungry, or I can hear it making noises. That's digestion kicking on board. That is your parasympathetic nervous system kicking on board. So if that happened, great job. A lot of times people will feel a little lightheaded or dizzy. That is actually a sign that you're doing this correctly, because that is oxygen flooding your brain. And so that is another reason we stick to 5 deep breaths. That's all we need is 5 really deep breaths. This isn't going to be the way that you breathe forever or normally. This is a way to kick in that parasympathetic nervous system. So I hope that this helps. You can use this. I like to use it, like I said, proactively. It's great if you remember to use this when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, when you're freaking out. It's less helpful in those moments. It's helpful, but where the magic happens is being present with yourself and your body and practicing this on the daily, hopefully, right? Practicing this of feeling your body, feeling relaxed, and creating that bank account of being able to stay in a place where you feel good, where you feel relaxed, where you feel safe, right? So I hope this helps. Message, add any comments, questions, and like, subscribe, grow the tribe. I love you guys so much.